Kibble, especially the imported kibble, is very, very bad value for money. People believe that they're buying a premium brand. It comes all the way from the States or Holland or Canada, and they're getting good value for money. They actually are not. Remember yesterday's discussion, we were talking about a diet that was convenient, a diet with economical and could sit on a shelf for many months. The brief wasn't about providing a diet that was incredibly wholesome. Cost and pricing was not an issue. That was not the brief. Animal human nutritionists work with a different brief, the brief that eventually produced a dry kibble food. It's not manna from heaven. Okay, so let's talk economics. Let's talk economics. A few years ago, I did an experiment, and this is many years ago. I took a premium brand that is sold through the veterinary practices, and I took the daily feed of a premium brand food for a medium-sized dog, which then was about 17 Rand a day to feed a dog like your Border Collie or your Labrador. 17 Rand. Now we're sitting probably at about 23, 24 Rand per day. But I know my workings out from there. Okay, so what we said, we're buying a product. Anybody who has a basic understanding of economics knows that if you import a product, we've got to pay custom duty when it arrives on our shores. We've got to incur cost of transportation. The agent or the owner of the brand in the United States or Canada or Holland have to charge an agent fee for the person who is representing them in the country where they've imported the product. That agent then has to push his markup to the stockers where they're selling that food. So he has and he's also had to incur various costs of transport. He's put up his price and his markup. The custom duties, as I mentioned, are very high. Transportation is very high. So when we did our calculation based on certain assumptions, we derived at a cost that it would incur in that bag of food that you're buying or the daily food. Most of it was made up in transport and courier costs and agents' fees. Then we went further into the basics and we said, well, if you've got a factory, you've got to charge, you've got to take into account your running costs, your labor, your insurances, your rentals, production fee. The amazing thing was that from the 17 Rand that we started off per day, we landed up with the client or the dog getting 1 Rand 78 worth of ingredients. 1 Rand 78. We're talking now in South Africa. 1 Rand 78. What can you do with 1 Rand 78? Come on, guys. 1 Rand 78 gives you nothing. So what was the reality? Where do you go to shop with 1 Rand 78 per day to feed your doggy? Go all the way to China, and we look for ingredients that is incredibly economical. We look for the fillers that have been lying on agricultural farms, have no use. We look with respect to many firms that are immoral, but there are many that have been using dead, dying, diseased dogs. But the fillers is what concerns me. So yes, my friend, if you do the calculations, your premium brand that you thought was optimal ends up being incredibly bad value for money. And thus, all these horrible ailments we're finding nowadays, skin, cancer, diabetes, epilepsy, obesity, it just doesn't do it. You spend poorly and you derive at poor results.